for something completely different in your British accent. That was so Monty Python of you. I love that. So this is Group 1A, 3, 4, and 5B. There's way too many cars out here. There's 36 cars for me to go through the grid, but we are going to go through the grid on video here. As you see, there's Frazier in the Kermit the Frog Eye Sprite. That's Tony Perella's old Corvette there being driven by Jim Cottle. And just some really cool cars. There's the number 10, Austin Healey, that Sprite that I want to go through. That's David Lee. David Lee has nerve damage in his left leg, and he's developed an air clutch system in this vintage car that can work like a clutch. It can release him from the, he's running just a regular synchro gearbox, and with an air compressor in the back, it will work like an air clutch using the master cylinder, so he can actually disengage it if somebody wants to drive it. And it's a really cool thing, and he's working with different amputees or anybody that can't function their left leg to push in on the clutch. Yeah, so it's really neat. You'll see him there. There's the number 10,
I see it, yeah.
the Sprite that just gave a good wave like he knew we were talking about him. But I just met him this morning, and I just thought that was such a cool thing. He's got a button. Everybody thinks it's a nitrous button on his shift ball.
Competition says he's cheating with a nitrous button.
But it's actually his air compressor. So he's got two different speeds. One lets it out gently for removing the from leaving the grid from like gear 1 or 2, and then the other one's more like just a power shift.
Yeah.
And you can hear it, the solenoids interacting there with the master cylinder. But how cool is that he's now working with Army vets and amputees to be able to run vintage race cars.
Or did he employ somebody to
I think he kind of came up with the system.
Great idea.
So that's David Lee there, number 10, the champion already in this race.
Okay,
but I think they're coming to the green flag, Jonathan.
Yeah, as you can see, 2x2, and we'll watch for the Honda Civic. Yes, he is making his way into the pit lane, which means now that Nathan Thompson in his Lotus 23C, the all blue, and alongside him Travis Engen, who I'm sure we'll see again. Wes Wigington lines up third, Diego Iturbe in fourth. Here we go, folks. SPRA in action. Group 1A, 3, 4, and 5B make their way towards that famous big red turn that we call the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers Turn 1. 133 feet up that hill.
Nathan Thompson with Ragogo Racing, who put on a fish fry here last night. Really, really good driver. We were asking about that car at Watkins Glen. That is the 23C, which gives it the different body panels on the back. Lou Marchant there in an MGA with wire wheels, which, as you know, is always my favorite. And then there's the number 12, the Porsche 914.
Is anybody in a right-hand drive Mini? Because
Mini,
I saw one car.
I know. I just went and looked at two of the Minis, and I know that they both are. The Snoopy is out there, which is Phil Wick's old car. It's a car I actually bought in North Carolina about 12 years ago, and it's out there racing. That's the number 28 of Colby Lemons. That's an Austin Mini Cooper, right-hand drive. But so let's go through. You were talking about this Group 5. So the Group 5 is in the lead, but Wes Wigington is used to be an MG midget driver, then went to Formula Ford, and now he's in a Huffaker Genie Mark III.
Nice.
Beautiful car.
California.
As we see the rear end of that 23 looks different than Travis Engen's 23, and then there's Wes, and then we already have a Group 3 car there of Ballback, and then a car that, you know, what I love about these, I'm obviously a car person, I'm obviously a British car person, but what I love about SVRA events is there was a car I could not figure out. I knew it was a Cooper-looking Monaco body, but it has a small block Chevrolet Corvette engine in it, and that's Diego Iturbe, the number 116. Really cool car. I think he's in about 4th or 5th position here as we look at Travis Engen, and like you said, we're going to see him a lot today.
Yeah, and Nathan Thompson, Travis Engen, Engen in that all red number 1, and here comes the 156 that you mentioned earlier, Wigington.
And then right behind him is that car I was talking about, the Iturbe and the Cooper Monaco with the small block Chevrolet right there. Really neat car. I love cars when the form and fashion combine, kind of like Jaguar did with their XK120s and C and D types, where the bulbous hoods over the tires and things like that. I just love flowing lines like that. We don't see that in today's cars. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on Speed Tour TV on YouTube, please leave us some comments, roast the commentators. If we get a call wrong, who you're rooting for, where you're watching from. Let's have some fun today in the comments section. It is the last race of the season. Let's have some fun. Now we're going to see this big block Chevrolet be able to pass Wes Higginton in that Huffaker Genie Mark III, but then he's going to have that weight. And it is, I would say, a mid-engine Chevrolet right behind the driver in that car, but he is going to be a little bit heavier.
Yeah, one car that took my notice was the 1958 Achinda Special. It's an Achinda Roadster.
I haven't seen that.
Stephen Steers at the wheel, number 66. Haven't seen it yet, but we will. And yeah, just a car that I'm not that familiar with. So
that should be Willis Murphy Jr. No, that's the 116. That's Diego Iturbi, the Cooper Monaco T61. Yeah. So I'm sorry, that was Willis Murphy in that Elva MK7S then.
Yep.
I'm getting all confused. Sorry about that.
Steers, he's out of this group, as it were, the top 15, which is Thompson, Engen, Wickenden, Chapman, Balbach, and Iturbe. Nash. John Nash, Clements in 8th, Schutler in 9th position, and Donatelli in 10th.
Now you called it an echidna. Is that correct? I've always called it an echidna. But I don't know. I don't know what is correct. So if you're watching and you know, give us a comment.
Well, I can tell you they were built in 1958 by John Staver, Ed Gearson, and Bill Larson. And it was a race car named after the obscure Australian anteater. There you go. A little bit of knowledge for you.
See, I love
There's
that.
John Nash.
John Nash, Ballback. This two really good SVRA drivers. Ballback going in deep on Nash.
Whoa.
I don't think that was contact. I think that was Nash just kind of getting a little bit nervous there. So John Nash spinning off into 11 in that Lotus Super 7.
I think he braked later than he would have done normally. And there's that beautiful number 8.
Nicholas Clements in the 8-ball.
Porsche 356B.
I love the lines of that, and you and I talk about this regularly, but basically, since the 50s, Porsche has not deviated from those lines, and I love it.
Yeah, that's a 1960. Beautiful.
So I'm monitoring the comments on our YouTube channel, so feel free. Tell us where you're watching from. Give us a little roast, and let's have some fun today. Last event of the season as they come around. Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers, turn 20. Coming up to Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers, turn 1. And now we're seeing a gap. And this is just pretty normal in vintage racing and all kinds of road racing, especially mixed group racing, like we're seeing that there's different gaps of racing, and there's different people that you can race with. And it makes it so much fun, and there's always somebody to be racing with in SVRA or at these events.
And given that it's the last weekend, talk a little bit about the race for the helmet, the Bell helmet.
Yeah, that'll be tomorrow. Today is the NetJets feature races, and we appreciate NetJets for coming on board and being one of our favorite marketing partners and sponsors. And tomorrow is the Bell Helmet, the only vintage racing national championship in the country, something that Tony started. You win about an $800 Bell helmet that's painted in gold and black stripes. It's beautiful with the year and the national championship on it. I'd be surprised if we don't see somebody wearing theirs from years past out there. There's that 66. And that's the Echidna.
Yeah. That is the Roadster.
Beautiful car. It kind of looks like a Scarab to me, but a beautiful car. Another one of those kind of specials to come out. Really cool to see that car. That is a Group 4 car.
Chevrolet engine. And basically kind of built around the Corvette, or as a lookalike Corvette in some ways. It's a kit car, if you will.
So John Nash is back up and rolling there. And that's Michael Kopecki in that 9144 that I thought was Dave Ferguson. So maybe if you know, maybe that's Dave Ferguson's car out there. I wasn't aware that he had sold it, but you can see these two cars are now dragging him down.
37 of Thomas Donatelli coming down in that orange and black. Got John Nash behind him. Here comes the 30 just behind them. That's Michael Kopecky in that Porsche. Actually, that's the Royale RP4. It is a Porsche Audi.
That's what I met. Brian Johnson from ACDC was racing one of those with us years and years ago, and still races it with us. And I think he's at Daytona this weekend. So it's great to see. But here it is. Here's that. This is a left-hand drive Mini Cooper.
That's all I want in life. That's me sorted. Me and Murphy.
Why wouldn't you? They are. I've had many have a '67 Cooper S, and it's the most fun car to drive without breaking the law.
Right.
Like I've got country roads that are 40, 50 miles an hour, and it is so much fun to drive those without even speeding.
I bet you feel like you're going about 100.
Oh, yeah, and it corners so well, very easy to park, and I have yet to fill up the gas tank without somebody asking me if I fit in that thing.
Coming out of 20 then, John Nash has made another position up as he moves through the field. Race still led by Nathan Thompson. Thompson in that 02. Lotus 23C. And we've got two Loti at the front, as it were.
There's Jim Caudle in Tony Perella's ex-Corvette.
That's gorgeous, isn't
Beautiful car, yeah. And Tony always had that really well prepared, so it's cool to see Jim, who's been a longtime Corvette racer with us. And that is such a cool, beautiful car. There's behind the 222 was Paul Conkle Jr., but that's Donnie Cluck in the Datsun 2000.
Yeah, both the Lotuses, the 23C and 23B, are both from 1962. There's real history out there today. I'm just trying to see if there's anything from the 50. Yes, we got a 1950. Well, that the Anchida Roadster is from 1958, as we mentioned. We've also got a Corvette from 58. That was one we just mentioned.
You're going to like this. Paul Conkle Jr., who's from Texas, comes to the Formula One races here and is a huge Lewis Hamilton fan. And we know how much Lewis Hamilton loves Circuit of the Americas.
You probably like going around in that car, too.
Yeah, I'm sure we could try to arrange that. I'm sure Paul would gladly give up the keys to that. One time while we were here at Cota, I just happened to be going by in my scooter, and he was pulled off to the side, and I'm an MG guy. And I asked him, he was pulled off to the side in a safe place, and so I asked him if I can look at it, and he said, yeah, and I saw that his coil wire wasn't plugged in. I was able to plug it in and fire him up, and he was able to go back out there.
There you go.
So I like being able to help out our drivers. I did see Scott Frazier being towed in on the service road, so not sure what happened there. And speaking of Scott Frazier, I've got to say this. Very sad news. I heard just after Virginia International Raceway that Mitch, his mechanic at IMS Classics, passed away after a long fight with cancer. He was at VIR with us. It was great to see him, but soon after VIR, unfortunately, he was our Professional Mechanic of the Year last year, and unfortunately succumbed to cancer. So a huge loss for everybody in the vintage racing community.
Sure. That's Tom Brown in the Spitfire.
Beautiful. I love Spitfires. And then, you know, both of us being history buffs, just gotta love the name Spitfire. You know, that's the British Spitfire. Of course, Ford has its Mustang.
Yep.
And then the big Heelys. You can't not love a big Heely in the proper British racing green. That just puts a smile on my face, because big Heelys, they're some of the prettiest cars, but they're big Heelys, you know, and that's an Austin Healey 3000, big inline 6-cylinder engine. I got
a nice little story for you. The Austin Healey Sprite, of which there are several out there, was announced to the press in 1958, a couple of days after the Monte Carlo race by the British Corporation, of course. And it was announced as intended as a low-cost model that a chap could keep in his bike shed.
Nice. I love that. And how many people did those cars, the Spridgets, introduce into sports car racing? Lotus Cortina, we haven't seen that yet.
Seen that
Look
one
at
for a
that.
while. Ah, good
It's
old
like
Cortina.
Ron's listening to us up there in the camera stand. Look at this beautiful shot of a Lotus Cortina. What's the number on that? Because
It's 195.
I'm trying to see. Oh, that's a Michael Mott.
Yes, it is.
Look at that beautiful car. I love the Lotus Cortinas. Another one of those cars that wasn't really intended for racing, but fun to race. There's David Lee in that number 10 car that we were talking about.
With his special clutch.
And I'm hearing that the checkered flag is out. Is the checkered flag out? I can't tell.
It is on top of that car, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There it is, exactly. You see Scott Frazier being towed in there on the service road. That's a bumpy road, man. I'm sorry about that.
Beautiful day here in Texas as these old British cars go about their business and floating through the S's.
Look at the smile on that car. I love it. And that is the man that has figured out air compressor for his clutch. And so cool to see. There is the checkered flag.
Nathan Thompson's already taken it. Travis Engen will be second. And Dan Chapman, in fact, got up to third at the end there in the Brabham BT8.
So a Chapman is in a Brabham.
I know. Go figure.
Yeah. And then we might have a Brabham in a Lotus later.
Yes. And
How funny is that?
We've got a couple of Brabhams in Brabhams.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be really, really fun.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We've got
Matt Brabham, Jeff Brabham,
yeah,
Ron Hornig. We've got a really good Formula B race. I still think the best race we've captured here with Greenlight doing the live streaming was the Formula B race a few years ago with the two Brabhams and Tonis Casamets, and we're going to recreate it this weekend.
Yeah, I love it. What a thrill to race your granddad's car, huh?
Yeah. So I'm hearing from Jay Ellis that nothing shifts as easily as a Cortina. We're getting Folsom, California. We've got Niagara Falls is joining us.
Not Folsom Prison, California.
Maybe.
Could be.
Mike Cron. He says he's got the number 99 Beretta. Hopefully that's a car he's talking about. Or he might be in Folsom.
Yeah, there you go. Or he's headed that way.
So let us know there, Mike Cron.
So this concludes our coverage of our first race of the day. We've got a full weekend of SVRA Speed Tour to show you, but Nathan Thompson doing the business in that beautiful blue number 02, and he is our winner. Ahead of Travis Engen in second place. Dan Chapman, as we mentioned, up to third place in the 52. Wes Wigington in fourth position. George Ballack in fifth. Stephen Steers, who I mentioned earlier in that beautiful car, that Insignia, in sixth place. Nicholas Clements. Then Stefan Schulte in eighth. John Nash up to ninth, ahead of Thomas Donatelli in the Porsche in 10th position. So that concludes that race. We've got more action coming up, and we'll have action from Group 5A, 8 and 12B coming up. So stay with us.